right and truthful now comes to this faithful connection that is found with a blessing of Almighty God. And that would need to be seen by where two or three stand, God is with them. So that would tend to lean towards many people seeing this creation or existence, making it tangible and a reality. The same could be said of the underlying faith that exists within this Australia under Great Seal of Australia. 44. On review on 23 December 2020 by Dr. Sharma, staff specialist psychiatrist, the defendant said that he no longer believed the things he had previously stated about the government not being legitimate and Stephen being the King of Australia. Dr. Sharma recorded in her impression that, quote, he no longer holds his prior delusional beliefs with the same intensity, but it is not certain that he has become well enough to simply disguise his underlying beliefs. End quote. That's a strange statement, that he has become well enough to simply disguise his underlying beliefs. It is not certain that he has become well enough. These are absolute quacks. And the language that they use, which they expect to hold any standing or water within a courtroom, it's twisted in its meaning and therefore becomes meaningless. He no longer holds his prior delusional beliefs with the same intensity. These are not factual words. These are words of, again, probability and statistics, making them a sheer gamble in that you're wrong or right. Now, there's that claim again, Stephen being the King of Australia, but unquoted. So we come to this problem that what is the belief if the question still remains? 43. The report of the MHRT dated 5 November 2020 relied upon the treating report and concluded that it was satisfied that the defendant continued to suffer from mental illness and required further inpatient treatment at the Long Bay Hospital. A further review was scheduled, at which time a Forensic Community Treatment Order, FCTO, would be discussed. It was noted that the defendant said that he would not take any medication which would change his metabolic state, but he did not explain what that meant, and at the time the MHRT noted that the defendant was taking olanzapine, which he had recently been increased to 7.5 milligrams per day, and which was at that stage being administered by injection. So they then just start doing blood tests and say, oh, that's just to check his metabolic state and the amount of drugs that we're pumping into him. We want to keep him at the maximum level, but we don't want to overdose him, so we have to check him as well. So this entering into a jail and presenting to have a belief outside of any belief that the state has that you must be corrected with causes this whole entire evil mental health system to come into play. And the immediate assumption on this mental health system is that you have a mental health issue. 42. The opinion and recommendation concluding the report stated that the defendant, quote, is suffering from a delusional disorder, perhaps late onset schizophrenia, but possibly with an organic disorder, a mental illness characterized by persecutory, grandiose and bizarre delusional beliefs. The mental illness is being complicated by poor insight and poor compliance. With medication, Mr. Kiskonen had shown significant improvement in his mental state. He has poor insight, and a history of non-compliance with his medication means he is at risk of relapse. The treating team requested the tribunal to grant him an SCTO before release. Mr. Kiskonen will continue to benefit from his antipsychotic medication and further investigation of his medical condition. He will also benefit from ongoing psychoeducation. So we go through that claim at 46 again, repeated at 42, showing the source of this claim to be this report stated that the defendant, so this report has come from this Dr. Kanzu, which we'll get to. So this Dr. Sharma has then taken her impression from a report and carried on this charade. This mental state is to them not agreeing with being put into jail, because once you're in there, tough shit. They don't give a shit. They don't want to hear from you. They don't care about your health. They don't care about your living conditions. They don't care about jack shit squat in the New South Wales correction facilities. Having that belief outside of jail is a different story, because now you're not incarcerated and not within the intake care of corrective services. And here we're talking about Corrective Services New South Wales that denied access to UN investigators. 41. More detail was noted regarding the defendant's personal history, including that he came to Australia from Finland when he was 4 years old, and that he had worked many jobs, including sweeper in a mechanic shop, a fast food restaurant, carpentry and handyman jobs, but that for the last 18 years he had worked as a glass recycling driver. He was a worker from Finland. That might be because the Finnish embassy were contacted by someone and they got involved, making this even more of an international incident, given that UN inspectors came and were denied by the very facilities that created this issue or torture problem in the first place. And this personal history as a worker, at which the justice hinted about that class separation that was hinted at in relation to that curial overthrow of government. 40. It was noted that the defendant had been on a hunger strike when he was first incarcerated due to his systematized delusional beliefs, believing he was a prisoner of war unfairly imprisoned. It was noted that he possessed poor insight into his condition and had not been consenting to his medication in the beginning, but was, at the time, reluctantly compliant with the treatment. So the moment we noticed some sort of political stunt going on in our jail, we jumped on it. And the moment he started talking about civil rights and international law, we drugged him. We didn't want him spreading that information amongst the other prisoners in the population. We didn't want him going into general population. We were having a hard time defining him as a terrorist offender, so we just drugged him instead.